Let's have a talk now to Ralph Schoellhammer, political theorist, head of the Centre for Applied History at the Matthias Corvinus Collegium in Budapest. Ralph, great to have you back on the programme. Is this like the fourth terrorist attack in Germany in the best part of 6 months? I remember there was one in Essen where police said, oh, this is a domestic incident, despite the perpetrator apparently waving around a Palestinian flag. There was the Christmas market atrocity. There was that attempted mass stabbing on the kindergarten where a man and a child lost their lives. And now this.
Well, it's hard to keep track. You had Magdeburg, Aschaffenburg, Solingen. Now you have Munich. I mean, it basically happens every month in Germany. But if we just go through the raw numbers, I looked it up all over Europe because this is a broader issue. And Alex, you know this very well because you just recently did a wonderful documentary about a horrific topic. So I hope that all your viewers and listeners have been watching it. We have 120 knife attacks per day, not per week, not per month, per day in France. We have on average 2 gang rapes per day in Germany. So what we are currently experiencing, and I really want to talk about this a little bit more, significant parts of the West are suffering from a form of collective Stockholm syndrome. Because if you can no longer go to a Christmas market, to a park, if your kids can no longer go to a Taylor Swift dance club like it happened in Southport, you are basically a hostage in your own country. But instead of talking why this is the case, we have all these weird conversations about, well, maybe we don't integrate them enough, maybe we are not welcoming enough. This is exactly how a hostage is speaking after they have been freed from their hostage taker. This is a form of Stockholm syndrome, and it's time that we overcome it.
Yeah, Stockholm puts me in mind of Sweden. I mean, the horrific reports there constantly of these bomb attacks taking place in cities across Sweden between rival gangs, largely recruiting loads of foreigners just off the boatist refugees welcome that old cohort, dealing drugs.
Not just Sweden, you had the same in the French city of Grenoble just, I think, 2 days ago, where you had an attack with a hand grenade. It's very hard to keep track. If you would ask me 5 years ago, I would have said that the talk about civil war is overblown. But what we're currently experiencing is the civil war is taking place, but the media has decided not to report on it. Yeah. That's quite much what's happening. And the second part, and Alex, we have to talk about this. What we are experiencing, again, in Germany, in the United Kingdom, in France, in parts we did in the United States before Trump, is a conspiracy by the government against its own people. I want to be very clear about this. In Germany, we have now again talks about demonstrations against the far right. So every time a migrant kills someone, and let's be clear, this specific migrant, his asylum claim was rejected in 2017. He was supposed to leave the country in 2020. So this person had no right whatsoever to be in Germany. Yet he stayed, yet the authorities did nothing, and now 20 people have been harmed. Their life will never be the same. A toddler is among them. And once again, just as in Britain after Southport, just with the grooming gangs, just as in France, just as everywhere all over the West, how many empty places at Christmas tables, at birthdays to parents have to endure before politicians realize that migration and the way it has happened over the last couple of years is killing our nations? It's plain and simple. This is killing our nations. If you can no longer freely move around in a park, in a Christmas market, if you can no longer be free in your own country, what we are doing at the moment, Alex, we are turning our cities into extended versions of airport security zones. Yeah. Those are not free societies. And let me be clear, I spent my time between Vienna and Budapest. And, you know, Budapest is where the horrific Viktor Orban is in charge. We don't have anything of that in Hungary. And you know why? Because there is no mass migration in Hungary. Yeah. So yes, maybe Mr. Orban is a conservative, but you are more free in Budapest than you're in London. And that's simply a fact.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. What you were saying, civil, I agree with you. I was going to say myself, it is almost though right now we are at war with these people. The whole idea these people are coming into the country with the best of intentions, want to integrate, love our society, love Western values, just desperately want to rub along like the average German or the average Brit. It's for the birds. I'm not saying there are people among those who have come from Afghanistan who aren't fond of us and who do want to integrate. I'm sure there's plenty of them that exist, especially those that helped US and UK troops over there, interpreters and the like. But there's a load of people coming from those countries who are deeply problematic, and they seem to have their asylum applications refused. They do petty crime, then they become drug dealers. Apparently this guy was lifted for drug dealing a number of times, and he's still in the country. Why is he not like the migrants in America who are in El Salvadorian cartels and Mexican drug gangs, all the tattoos on their face, shackled together, marched onto a military airplane and told, get out? Why are we not doing that? And at the same time, you're right, and I want to delve into this a bit more. Why is it? Is this being organised by Homeland Security on some level, that to stop greater public conflagration and people really kicking off and getting angry, that there always seem to be these protests against the sort of illusory far right? Barely exists. You know, there's a few people here and there with some swastikas and skinheads and some tattoos, but by and large it's just ordinary people who don't like to see what's happening. And yet, you know, this is considered the bigger threat. And like you said, like clockwork, every time there's some sort of protest, some sort of riot, something's been coordinated. What's going on?
Well, I mean, if you look at two of the incidents in Germany, you mentioned the protest in Munich. In fact, there were placards at that protest that said, Munich is a diverse city. We are proud of our diversity. The same, by the way, was true. The terrorist attack in the city of Solingen was during a fest of diversity, a festival of diversity. I can only come back real quick to what I said before. This is a form of collective Stockholm syndrome. And the second thing, you mentioned it, it is a collusion on the one hand between politicians who have been marinated in this weird and suicidal multicultural ideology and anti-Western ideology, but they're also in cahoots, I would say, with an activist judiciary. I mean, I just recently heard the case in Great Britain where a criminal cannot be deported because it would be...
Oh, we might have lost you there, Ralph. I think that maybe you've been so brave and so erudite and so absolutely spot on with your commentary that the powers of be have infested the line and made sure we can't hear your sensible thoughts. But it's disgusting, isn't it? I mean, it's beyond... I often call this cultural vandalism, what we're doing. It's no longer just cultural vandalism. It's evil. It's actually inviting people to kill this country, kill the people in it. There's a brilliant professor called Gadsard. You might know him if you sort of, you know, move about in the same sort of podcast circles as me. He calls what we have in Europe a suicidal empathy. This idea of, oh, poor them, poor little, you know, what's his face coming over from your goat herding village in Afghanistan. He's just escaping the Taliban. What if he is the Taliban? I mean, it's just time and again. Germany was really on the front line when it came to the whole refugees welcome thing. Millions came into, you know, a load of people came into Germany. Many might have dispersed to other countries, but Germany really took a lot in. And now look, almost on a monthly basis, terrorist attacks, indiscriminatory, pure evil, driving into just innocent people. You know, whatever they're doing, we are now at war. It's terrifying.